the chain.
Welcome everyone to our Off the Chain podcast, and this is your host Armel. And today, as guest, we have Charles Aristidi. Is that how I said it? Aristidi.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Charles, and Charles, you want to tell us about yourself?
Hi everyone. My name is, as you heard, is Charles Aristidi. I have a long extended background actually in blockchain. I started in the University of Nicosia with my bachelor's as economics and finance, but since then the university adapted a strategy in creating a master's in blockchain. So I've been around the university and the people that were involved in the industry earlier on 2013, 2014. I got involved slowly in the society there. So I ended up doing the master's in digital currencies, taking some side certificates on blockchain. As a long-term background, had my own startup and also been into the strategy consulting. So it was ideal for me. And kind of, everything escalated towards dragging me specifically in consulting in blockchain and finding talent specifically for projects.
Okay, that's really cool. So you work for blockchain one-to-one. Can you tell us what blockchain one-to-one does?
Well, blockchain one-to-one actually takes specific segments of the market on blockchain. First, we actually have clients that want their strategy altered. And in that case scenario, we find bench power for their strategy. We review the strategy, doing problem trees and missing models specifically to see if the ethics and capability of blockchain is broadcasted correctly. As a lot of things in the market will probably bring problems instead of solutions. Well, we like people to solve things instead of creating an imaginary problem. So contributing in the aspect that, yes, there is a valid strategy, therefore we feel comfortable as well as adding the talent in there.
That's correct. And so what sort of a project do you see coming through blockchain one-to-one doors? What problem are your client facing in terms of blockchain?
Well, currently there has been a lot of scenarios of how does the society will be after the lockdown. We have the oil crisis, which is something that nobody expected. We've watched it live. Everyone said the same thing. I can't believe it's going lower. Can't believe it's going lower. I cannot go below zero. We ended up at minus 40. And we can't believe the cases of COVID are going up and up and up. We can't believe that people are burning towers of 5G and blaming that. So our clients are currently facing the aspect of society. Technologically, we're fine. Economically, we're just handling. At least the blockchain industry got damaged, but not that bad. So into that, taking that into consideration, what will the society look afterwards? That's what our clients are questioning. Well, unfortunately, on the same side of the token, you can see that human income will be damaged and velocity of money. Our people won't feel comfortable to do the same operations. So a lot of income areas or side hustles or side incomes will be eliminated in the market because there's no physical participation. But what if we can monetize on the digital participation? For example, a lot of people can take advantage of their hobbies on forums on discussing football, gaming, any category that actually is something that they actually loved and would do anyway, and maybe find a way to monetize that. So it's another stream of income without breaching the barriers of move outside, be at risk, take anything and everything into your own consideration. No, you're going to be safe, home, on the freedom of your own couch to actually serve, participate, and even monetize your hours.
All right. So do you think that more people will start adopting the work from home, which a lot of startups do, but large companies are more or less very against it because obviously they're paying for office space, right?
Yeah.
So they want you to be in the office. So what's with this COVID-19, everybody working from home now, right? A lot of people go to Zoom meetings in their pajamas. They shouldn't be doing that, right?
Yeah.
But now, how do you see this has a positive impact after this COVID-19 that more people will start adopting?
Absolutely. I'm going to be a bit frank in the scenario. Due to large corporations, especially referring to the large ones, a lot of people working on projects and etc. could hide under activities. So they would underperform, but no one would be able to even record or see it, even with macros,
Mm-hmm.
keys, KPIs, or APIs, or any technology you could ever use. They would move the mouse, it would look visible, but they're actually not even contributing. So in
Mm-hmm.
that aspect, if management didn't manage to catch somebody underperforming, they will probably be obviously complaining that work from home again. If you are not pinpointing one person, give me this task at deadline X, they will
Mm-hmm.
end up just moving the mouse. So you're not only, you might be saving maybe from office space, because you had it on list and you did some pause or whatever, but in reality you're paying
Mm-hmm.
somebody to move a mouse. But in the same time, it will be accountability in the aspect of the talent that was introverted would thrive. So true talent would thrive. And if you catch, your bad actors in the company, your underperformance, that will be a complete restructuring. And that will be a funny time to be alive, actually, to realize that, yeah, we didn't need 5 developers or 10 managers or
Mm-hmm.
10 lawyers or etc. Like the redundancies of the system will be eliminated. Yeah, that will probably trickle down to damaging the economy again in terms of salaries and job cuts. But work from home has its middle ground. There are people that are made to work from home, and there are people
Mm-hmm.
that are really not to be trusted for work from home.
Yes, I understand that. Yes. So blockchain one-to-one, right?
Mhm.
The blockchain-based consultancy
Mhm.
and also do recruitment, I believe.
Yes,
Right.
because obviously in these days, to actually take the strategy, you need to have the talent. And I mean, we can realize the funniest example is Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin. He was meant to go and work for Ripple Labs for XRP coin, pretty much. But due to
Mm-hmm.
the visa situation, he didn't manage to end up with Ripple, and here we are. We have Ethereum. If it wasn't for the visa
Yeah.
situation and the scarcity of talent, I mean, the whole scenario of Ethereum might not even exist, and we might not have seen that 2017 meteoric rise. Because
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe that it was contributed by Ethereum's ability to allow sub projects to be created. So the whole thing, we can go a long way of a butterfly effect of, okay, strategy is one level. Do you have the people
Mm-hmm.
for it? So
As-
satisfying both ends, client feels safe, feels secure, feels protected, and taken care of. Pretty much, we're let's say the host of the party.
So what type of project we like to see on the blockchain? Right.
Well, currently on blockchain, I would like to see bringing more of the young society, because the younger society can
Okay.
adapt solution. I mean, we've seen how TikTok grew pretty much in
Mm-hmm.
no time, in exponential manners. I mean, it creates young people's opportunities like crazy. I mean, there's people that have billions views. Like, okay, I don't have billions in perspective in my mind in terms of views. There's not
Mm-hmm.
enough hours in my life probably for that scenario to even watch the content, which is really funny. So if the youth can adapt something like that, which doesn't need complexity, if we bring blockchain towards not being complex, but contributing in the income of younger generation, I think that's what I would love to see. Anyone listening to this, they're free to go and check IMF's poverty research on youth. It's ridiculous. That was before COVID. 1 out of 5, well, actually 4.5 young people in a group will be under £2 a day of availability to spend. And
Oh wow.
£2 a day. And just putting that in perspective, that's pretty much nothing. I mean,
I mean that's
60,
very low.
60 yeah, £60 a month. So £60 a month. What can that get you? So bringing that aspect and the fact that
Mm-hmm.
they're spending 8 to 9 hours a day on average. Now with the lockdown probably is in the range of 10 to 12. Why not
Mm-hmm.
monetize the use ability of digital flow? If it was a street, would be the highest populated street in the planet.
Yep.
So I mean, putting an advertisement in a populated street, you will charge thousands. putting an advertisement in a highly populated video, again, it's thousands, so it's digital properties in it. But we do not declare that yet. We don't hash it. We don't create that, ownership. And blockchain can do that. Create the streets of digital infrastructure.
Yes. In the previous you know podcast with one of the guests, we were discussing the customer experience of the blockchain, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah, that,
how
that
it's still into the engineering culture, and we need
mhm,
to move away from that and start making something that's more customer friendly, right?
mhm.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is that everybody should follow the digital banks and challenger banks motto. If you go on Starling, Revolut, Monzo, anyone, they're so simplistic and playing straight to the point, even
Hmm.
better than any banking application. And since we're dealing with money, it's good to take in perspective what someone related with money is doing as well, like the challenger banks. And I think that the fact that you don't need to explain to people um, in first hand, okay, you're going to be making money this way or that way, and this is the pathway, the infrastructure, the super engineered rocket science. No, you just
Hmm.
tell them X, Y equals Z. Simple as that. For example, there's a company that we're related to. I cannot disclose that. It managed to allow users to upload offline shops,
Okay.
and the fact that the picture is owned by somebody and hashed on blockchain, it can
Hmm.
generate income to the person that took the picture. And the person doesn't know about blockchain, doesn't know anything about how everything works, or a smart contract, or mining, or proof of work, or proof of stake. They just know that the picture is theirs, and if somebody buys the product that they display, they get an income out of it. It's a fair deal for them. They didn't need the word blockchain in it, or for marketability. Actually, it goes counterproductive, I would say. So just being a little bit more simplistic these days, just X, Y equals Z, you get where people are feeling comfortable. They don't want noise in their applications. It's highly avoidable.
That's I agree 100%. No one talks about the internet, right? But you just go on YouTube, you go on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the underlying technology and the user experience of Netflix as an example. Really
Mhm.
good. So it makes it easy for people to engage with the platform. All right, where uh back in 2017, a lot of hype around a lot of the project on the blockchain or ecosystem, but nothing really delivered at the time.
Yeah.
So, but at the moment, I guess, do you work mostly with startups or with large corporates?
Both actually, and I would say our sweet spot is medium towards startups going and being considered scale ups at this stage, more than 100
Hmm.
employees and clients, and going towards that stage of becoming just a little bit bigger. That's the sweet
Okay.
spot, I would say, because they have a clear vision where they are and where they
Hmm.
want to be, and enough power to actually bring somebody that is maybe less educated in blockchain and be in an environment that most of the people, at least 80% of the company, so 80 out of 100 people would be able to pick him up and create a friendlier feeling. That's the lovely part, by the way. It seems that blockchain, even startups and scale ups and anyone in the of any size, they're more family and friendly like because they're sharing values.
Okay.
And that's an interesting observation.
Okay. So what are the barriers? If there's any barriers to entry, what do you think are the barriers for adoption, for blockchain adoption?
Well, currently is micro use cases. For example, if you're getting rewarded with a token, and there's an accounting system that eventually the company that actually pays you the tokens buys the tokens from you. So it creates that subsidy income. In that aspect is adding additional layers. If I'm on blockchain application that maybe a lot of bartenders are getting in there to get educated and they're sharing a forum and somehow
Hmm.
a tokenized system emerges, shouldn't I be able to, from that industry, use back my tokens without, rewarding myself with exchanging them for money? Use them, let's say, to buy my bartender gear or go in that X bar that that they're partnering with and buy my drink. See, it's adding, that specific, extra part of the segment, that extra little detail that will probably invite people. You're making some tokens because of a football industry related blockchain solution. Might as well buy football gear. So it's not only about exchanging those tokens in money and keeping vast volumes of liquidity. It's used as a metric. Don't get me wrong. It's used as a metric of success in terms of volume, back and forth bid and asks. But what if it takes a little bit more real world participation? Looking at seeing the brand of the token, someone will be like, "Oh yes," and it causes actually a new marketing, an actual marketing. If I saw in a bar a token advertised, out of curiosity, I'll end up being in the application for hours, checking what they do, how they do it. I'll be engaged. That's a barrier. But now we're in a lockdown, so I don't see any physical.
Yeah. So you touched on the point of on the topic of tokenization,
Mhm.
right? And but there's other application of the blockchain which are quite popular at the moment. For example, large corporations such as Carrefour, Walmart are using
Yeah.
the blockchain for provenance, right?
Mhm.
So they can show when we go to do our shopping, we can see exactly where the products that we're picking up are coming from. Right, we
Yeah.
produce them. I mean, stuff they went through. I guess they need I know Carrefour, which is probably the second. Last time I checked, they were the second largest retailer after
Yep.
Walmart worldwide. Things change, and now
Yeah.
with COVID, they could be fourth or fifth. Things will
No
change,
worries.
but they had an app. So
Mhm.
and are you familiar with Danone? Danone the yogurt, right?
No.
So Danone is one of the French brand,
Mhm.
right? And you will take the app and you will kind of scan the QR code, and it will tell you the full history, the full provenance, which is all
Mhm.
tracked through the blockchain, right?
Mhm.
And that's one of the applicabilities. So we have tokenization, we have provenance. Are there other applicability that other application for
Mhm.
blockchain that you exploring at the moment, or at least you come across for your clients?
Mhm. Well, we came across to one client realization, which was, let's say, a moment of epiphany. Due to the fact of, virus-related arguments, we came to the realization that a lot of people will not feel comfortable if they find out where their products come from. So supply
They
chain
wouldn't feel
management,
comfortable, you said.
yeah, they won't feel comfortable. I mean,
Hmm.
a lot of people are, above a certain intelligence, but anybody brings their intelligence down like due to fear. Fear tampers intelligence. So if you're literally eating something now or using a product now, and you just see immediately
Hmm.
made in China last month or last 2 months, just where the breakout started, you will absolutely freak out, and you didn't
Hmm.
know what you were buying. I mean, same goes with online products as well. You don't know where they originate from, and that
Hmm.
that is gonna change. I mean, people would be afraid of. Unfortunately, China will take a huge impact on that. So people knowing that a product comes from China will shake them in their core. Be like, what I have in my hands? Did I wash it? Did I sanitize? Did they sanitize in the post office? And everything will take over in terms of fear on that. So supply chain management will take over in that part of where did my products came from. A lot
Hmm.
of cynicism, yes, but beneficial in one way. Maybe a lot of people will just start getting educated out of curiosity and seeing components of certain products. Be like, oh, so this country's producing this and this country's producing that due to having minerals and due to having good services. And a lot of
Hmm.
people actually getting into that fact trivia scenario. It'll create more engagement, which is the good part. But the cynicism will be there in the background, screaming,
Uh,
"Where did it came from?"
uh, I mean, transparency is very important, right? And that's one thing that the
Absolutely,
blockchain can provide.
yeah.
So yes, fear. A lot of people, you know, create fear on purpose,
Hmm.
and sometimes fear it just happens. I mean, the COVID-19, there's
Yeah.
fear that anybody can catch it, right? So, but that is different. But if you can't control the all every single steps and provide
Hmm.
some transparency about where your food come from, of where the product come from. Another way also to do that is What about luxury goods, right?
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
which is a very big problem for them today, right? So,
yeah.
you know, what about luxury goods?
I mean, LVMH is the conglomerate behind the majority of luxury,
Mm-hmm.
from Moët to Dior to etc. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've climbed far. I mean, they've came between the steps of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos before obviously the lockdown and the scenario kicked in. Uh, but in the same time, their industry is 2 times larger in the fake production because a lot of countries don't, apply on the patents. I mean, patents are not, applicable there, or you cannot
Mm-hmm.
chase them, act with a lawsuit. China, apparently, Turkey, sometimes even Russia actually participate in this replicating luxury parts. But
Mm-hmm.
what if in scenarios, I mean, you have brands like emerging brands as well, like Off-White and Balenciagas and stuff like that, which
Mm-hmm.
they use the thickness and the macro detail they act to actually use blockchain on the background. And there's marketplaces that people are actually investing like shoes or stocks for them. Literally, it's like an investment. They buy them and they flip them and they exchange them between each other and they store them until they increase in value. Same with handbags and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Probably, the fact of adding that transparency and uniqueness and in tamperable products would, cause these products to even, increase in value.
Mm-hmm.
Probably at this point we should be chasing a way to monetize and make dividends out of luxury goods because this flipping back and forth scenario is just a hot potato game.
I mean, one way of to minimize the all counterfeiting. All right,
Yeah.
if you have some way to track this, okay, those shoes or these bags, mostly around
Hmm.
bags, I guess, right?
Yeah.
These bags already been sold to someone in the United States, but you are all the
Hmm.
way in England, and two
Hmm.
days ago it was in the States, or a day ago it was in the State. So the one that
Hmm.
you have in England probably not the real one because
Yeah.
we tracked it, we tracked it back, right?
Absolutely. And that should be an application coming straight from the companies that produce the
Mm-hmm.
products as well, because they can declare their inventory publicly. We have
Mm-hmm.
X inventory, and this is why this is valued. Yeah, we can do a promotion. Okay, it was 5 pieces made out of this bag, and then we have the other line that is maybe 100 pieces, 1,000 pieces, but this one is five, so it's a limited
Mm-hmm.
edition. So excuse a higher price, it can actually help them as well because a lot of people will chase that uniqueness. I have
Yeah.
one out of one watch, one out of one car. I have a car dressed in Hermes leather and Louis Vuitton steering wheel, etc. These wild scenarios, people love them, and I cannot blame people loving these things because it became less popular, to spend large monies on properties and cars
Mm-hmm.
in the younger generation, but more apparent to spend a lot of money on luxury goods, belts, bags, shoes, hats, you name it. But the same
Mm-hmm.
generation wouldn't chase a house, which became large clusters of money, but smaller in terms of consumption. And people would love it. I mean,
Yes.
if anyone is listening from the luxury industry, we're more than welcome to join you.
Yes, you did mention that the should really make the inventory public. So, which
Hmm.
really takes me to the next question of
Hmm.
uh, should much, I mean, decentralized in the blockchain ecosystems. They always say that, okay, for an application to be truly decentralized, to use the blockchain, one of the feature is the ability to have it decentralized. Now,
Yeah.
if you go with a public blockchain like Ethereum, right?
Hmm.
It's fully decentralized, as people say, if you want attacks in order to take control of it, but it's decentralized. You got multiple parties and everybody can see it. Now you have also other more permission-based blockchains,
Yeah.
right? And you have the more of the private blockchains, the
Hmm.
likes of Hyperledger,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, no, not to make it too political, right? I just share your view on that. On uh, is it right for companies to say, okay, want to have our own blockchain, right? That we
Yeah.
don't want to use the so. What what's your view on that?
So, what we see in this scenario is that the existence of KYC changes the whole, conversation between decentralized let's say, semi-decentralized kind of situations that are, the permission, and the private, completely centralized solutions. The fact is that we're in a dense matrix of participation. The only reason I can move left is because you've moved left as well, so we can, step side. So we exist in a dense space, which you need that to know that there's no extra participation out of the company, creating fake accounts or anything to tamper with their numbers. So the centralized part that has blockchain, but with KYC wallets and legitimacy of dividing people, because you're avoiding the what caused the 2000 bubble back in the days, vanity numbers, fake accounts, fake views. You can, even today, you can set a click farm in China and to click and view YouTube videos. But what if each view was behind a wallet, an address that had a KYC? Even if they're, centralized, the participation is decentralized in their own sense. I am naturally free to move around and choose what I'm gonna see. And yes, my print was there, and no one else's print that doesn't exist. That is a fake account. That's a bot in somebody's Java code or Python code or whatever. And then the permissionless are between the scenario of, do we need to really intervene? I mean, the centralized ones, yeah, they intervene, but the majority of the time they want people to run free. The more they run free, the more they have reasons to monetize their traffic. The permission scenario is a perfect example is a lawyer in this aspect. So a lawyer has X amount of hours that he's allowed to work, let's say in a week. That's 5 days. Let's say he's an overachiever. He works 10 hours a day, which probably is normal for a lawyer, to be honest. So 50 hours a week. He can actually pre-settle an amount of tokens that, first of all, they're per hour, 1 token per hour, and they're worth X amount. So for your services, you can pre-book and not mess with my hours. Tell me that you're coming in for this contract and you want this structure, and I start working on it, and then I end up never seeing my money, or I end up spending more hours because you weren't sure about your decisions on how to explain me your product or whatever you wanted me to do. So the permission part is, if let's say we had a meeting now, you came in for consultation from blockchain one-to-one. And in this scenario, if I'm expecting you and I'm preparing for you and you don't show up, I'm losing, I'm having a cost opportunity damage here. I'm losing.
Yes.
But what if you pre-booked and you paid your time? And if you are late, you're just losing on your side because it was your fault of being late to participate. See, the permission works there perfectly. And because it's two parties making a sort of agreement with a sub-agreement. It's my time as a measuring stick of my capabilities of services, and money behaves as a measuring stick, and our measurings came into a sense. So we came into a digital agreement beforehand. A lot of people are afraid to talk on the phone openly of what they believe and what they think. Okay, you can hide your emotions and your true beliefs, but that doesn't lie. A smart contract printed, a smart contract acted, and it's explaining in your face what you're doing with simple terms. So you can come in knowing that, okay, you were late 10 minutes, that was deducted, I'm sorry. And then the completely public decentralized part, that can turn into a wild west. It can go back to the same problems that we're solving and bring them back in. I mean, complete decentralization sees, we can see some funny aspects. The fact that mining can be one-sided, myopic, monopolized, taken over by just easily by a party. I mean, there's enough money going around by printing. You can literally buy the Bitcoin mining overnight. So a lot of people's, dreams of let's conquer the world because they're crushing now. By the way, that's a
Yep.
bad way of thinking. The world crushing damages you as well. Unfortunately, you're not immune to, and you're not above society and economy or above anyone. So the decentralized part is, if you want people to have a no partnership because they're afraid of each other, in a sense, or they want the randomness in mathematics to take over. That's will be perfect for that aspect. The decentralized dating app will be the perfect example. Imagine you um, being described by somebody else. So you have your KYC, but it's hidden, obviously, cryptograph stored away and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not the one expressing who you are. Your last relationship and the way you finish your terms with the last relationship will explain who you are. And imagine rolling with a profile that somebody else wrote for you. That's a funny decentralized probabilistic mechanism to have there. And imagine a whole dating app with people not being in control of what they wrote, but still matching and still having fun and still meeting each other and everything. That's the beautiful, completely outside of spectrum decentralization. That's why they say in terms of the original blockchain, the way we began that blockchain is the celebration of cryptography. I add on top of that is the celebration of randomness as well. You want that randomness. Okay, we burn more electricity in mining. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
what can we build with that randomness? What beautiful things? Maybe probabilities in a game of maybe gambling. Yeah, gambling is not the nicest thing, but what if the algorithm is adjusting faster than anyone can, hash it and attack a 51% attack in a network? That'll be a that'll be a little bit more clean. Maybe an online poker algorithm. Yeah, poker has some skill as well. So it is less gambling. It's still gambling. So adding a little bit of an algorithm that allows a little bit more freedom on the, probabilities of getting the cards you want. See,
Mm-hmm.
decentralized has its own part as well. So we just saw three different, reasons for all three of them to exist. But the question is, where do you use them and what ethics you want to maintain? Equal opportunity, participation, transparency, and all the beautiful ethics that blockchain can bring in this scenario.
Yeah, one of the things that clients usually tell me, mostly large corporations,
Hmm.
they are worried about trade secrets. They're worried
Hmm.
about the smart contract and the public blockchain not being secured
Yeah,
enough. Yes, you can try to secure as much as you want. You could encrypt the data that you put onto the blockchain, but the data is there for everybody to try to break.
yeah.
Right.
See,
So,
smart contract in that will probably allow for you to lose if you breach something. So imagine you're in a dense application, a dense space, and you breached somebody's intellectual property and trade secret. And the fact that you have, let's say, 50,000 tokens in that account, due to the
mhm,
fact that you breached and let's say the majority of the network reported you cheating in this aspect, the network will probably have an invisible hand that goes and grabs 50,000 of your tokens as a fine. So just
mhm,
just imagine that that would be probably a bit of mayhem at the beginning, and new crime will emerge that a lot of groups of people are dedicating an attack to somebody, saying that they stole something, because you cannot prove true origins these days. I mean, Genesis, in terms of ideas or products, it's a vague idea. You know
mhm,
that from the side of technology, true Genesis is a myth. So imagine how many people will probably dedicate an attack towards your podcast because you maybe replicated just for a second somebody else,
mhm. No, that's
and,
true.
and it's just a little bit beyond and above scary.
Uh, so you have a background in economics, right?
Yes.
And now you work in technology on the blockchain space. So what advice do we give to someone who wants to get into blockchain? So, what type of advice we give to newcomers, experienced, inexperienced people,
Hmm.
maybe technology background, maybe not? What type of advice will we give them?
I would tell them start with the simple stuff. Grab a book of the great economic thinkers. Understand how these people broadcasted a message of rearranging the economy and the society in times of
Mm,
crisis and needs. Milton Friedman, Keynes, and the list goes on. Adam Smith. Understanding why these people had to act and why did they have to act. So understanding this socioeconomic aspect would allow you to rethink networks and how we organize society. Because in the end of the day, even before technology, data allowed us to clothe, feed, and house the majority of humans. So start thinking in the simple terms, and then add in the technology aspects, like questioning from day one in the beginning of, is this technology suitable for our scale or etc. Well, that's going to be a waste of time. You're going to be running around in circles. Might as well identify true potential and true need in the market for humans, not no one else. I mean, it's about the majority of the humans, not about a corporation. We have stakes as a party altogether into being to choose to be X amount of hours in an application. So think of them, rights, digital taxation, and how it would be as a cyberspace that needs not economics this time, it needs digital
Mm-hmm.
economics and the aspects that come with it. Because economics in Greek, what does that mean? Economos, which is literally the law of the house. Economics literally translates to that. So think of what does the house want and feel comfortable with. I mean, if you're thinking of a solution that might and on the back end screw with people, well, you're in the wrong path. I might as well thinking that, yeah, this might crash and jeopardize data and etc. Yeah, you can solve that down the line. You don't have to roll a solution or to consult a solution in that aspect. But
Mm-hmm.
thinking, again, maintain my point of view and my statement, human first, technology later.
That's very interesting what you just said. Very interesting, and so in the blockchain utopia, we
Mhm.
tokenize everything. Is that what it is? That in the blockchain utopia, we try
I
to
would
tokenize
like to
everything.
call it utopia is probably creating another layer, another asset, because the way we behave in this crash, money wasn't lost from the market. Money moved. Money changed
Mm-hmm.
position. Something that wasn't valuable anymore and wasn't able to make money, something else is making money out of it. We shifted from wants, I want this jacket, those glasses, that, this, and that, to needs, food, basics. So the money wasn't, completely lost. Yes, salaries were lost, but at least we retrieved an 80% in UK. Let's say, for example, in the States, you have these payment scenarios of 1,200 checks. So creating another layer because I mean, as well, gold didn't react, oil crashed. Where is the safe haven? And blockchain, as it is another market, but not in its full potential. So it's not a utopia, it's just another layer. Utopia is probably always like collective equities, commodities, and blockchain on the other side, all three, and many more markets, bonds as well, or whatever you want to name it, all the markets together being coherent. Yeah, that's a utopia. It's not a myopic, an equity utopia or a blockchain utopia or a tokenized utopia. It's a collective. It's just making a bit of our lives a bit easier. If you ask my
Yes.
mother, and she's an old woman, in her days, just snapping your fingers in on an imaginary screen and getting food in your doorstep, for her it will be black magic. But for my society, we managed to decrease literally the cost of time and the cost of communication and everything into a shorter time frame. So we get to do more in an hour than any previous generation was ever able. We have access everywhere, pretty much, eyes, ears, hands, you name
Mm-hmm.
it.
uh, all right. So the utopia thing. I mean, you covered it pretty well. I like what you said. So is the blockchain actually trying to replace anything? How can you just complement what's already there? When it first started, people were saying,
Mhm,
"Let's go for digital currency." Right
mhm,
now, a lot of people moving away from that, trying to
mhm.
create some new asset tokenizing. So is blockchain more of a complementing what we already have, or are we trying to create a
Absolutely,
new economy
yes.
around it?
It's absolutely complementing. I mean, it's leveraging what we have and the inefficiencies that could be created. I mean,
Hmm.
anywhere and everywhere you look, a solution is created by humans. So a human's capability goes as far as a brain. By accident, creating loopholes and allowing somebody else to realize and taking advantage of the situation, it makes things inefficient and unfair. So blockchain trying to patch as much, not completely eradicate this loophole abuse, or abuse of the minority towards the majority, but patching
Mhm.
it a little bit more, a little bit more, and just covering space of loopholes at a time. It's gonna enhance. Blockchain wasn't meant to replace, unless we're going literally in an super apocalyptic. And trust me, if people think that COVID and the oil crisis combined are an apocalypse scenario, we're in the comfort of our houses. There's no
Mhm.
bullets fired. People lived through wars. Our war is invisible if there's any war to actually declare. So if you're comfortable in your couch and you're going through this aspect of, yeah, blockchain will replace everything. No, it won't replace anything unless we end up in a Fallout game scenario where you're actually literally chasing each other to kill, and everybody's cannibal with gated communities. Only in that complete, let's say, insane scenario, I can imagine something taking over, because blockchain would, etc. And then who's gonna run the machines? Good question. I don't know.
How are you gonna trust the machines?
Yeah,
You know, oh well, it was really great talking to you. I mean, you covered so many points. You touched many
likewise.
different topics there. I could stay here and have this conversation for hours. Right, really enjoying this conversation that we're having now. All right. So, thanks, Charles, for coming
Thank you
to the podcast.
for
Right.
having me, Armel.
Do you have any last words before we part?
Anyone that is interested in what I said and everything, I mean, I'm always pretty much online. So if they would love to discuss something, or solve any fears they have or questions towards blockchain, because I understand there's a lot of misinformation going on in the internet, and some people by accident they become too technocratic and technical, without seeing the bigger picture, or even if they understand it, they cannot express it pretty much easily. So feel free to contact us at Blockchain One to One. Come with any inquiries in terms if you want to start a startup, a strategy, or expand your business or anything. We're here for you. We don't stop in this scenario. COVID has nothing on us.
So thank you, Charles, and thank you for coming to
Thank you as
the
well.
Off the Chain podcast. And this was your host, Armel. You can find me on Twitter, Armel Nene. And it was really great. There's more episode on the podcast channel. And again, thanks, Charles, for coming in, and thank Blockchain
Thank
One
you,
to
Armel.
One for having us. We will make all the links that you mentioned. We will make to Blockchain One to One website available for anybody that want to reach out to. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for listening. And till next time, look after yourself.